When you are stressed, the release of stress hormones, adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol increases. This prompts your sympathetic nervous system to initiate a fight, flight, or freeze response. You might be familiar with the sensation of a stress response. Your heart and breath rate increase. You get a rush of energy. You might start shaking, or you become hyper alert. These reactions evolve to help us survive, either by running from a threat, a flight response, defending ourselves, a fight response, or shutting down and conserving energy to avoid detection, a freeze response. Regardless of which one you're familiar with, the end goal is always to keep you safe. However, if you get stuck in a stress response, safe situations can begin to feel unsafe, while unsafe situations, if they are familiar, may paradoxically feel comfortable. As children, we naturally process stress through the body. We cry when upset, throw a tantrum when frustrated, run and hide when overwhelmed, and seek comfort from a caregiver when scared. We trust our body's wisdom. However, many children are taught to suppress these natural responses. They are told to be quiet when emoting, to return when they've calmed down, or to comply rather than assert their boundaries. When children's boundaries are repeatedly crossed, forced to do things they don't want to do, discouraged from expressing emotions, or shamed for their reactions, they learn to suppress their instincts. The energy that should be expelled from the nervous system instead gets trapped. Over time, this creates patterns in the nervous system that persist into adulthood, shaping how we respond to stress, form relationships, and navigate life. Our nervous system learns from past experiences. If a child grows up in an environment where emotional expression is not safe, their nervous system adapts by suppressing responses. This often results in chronic dysregulation. The amygdala, responsible for detecting threats, may become overactive, leading to heightened sensitivity to stress. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which regulates rational thinking and emotional control, may be underactive, making it harder to self-soothe or process stress logically. This happens due to neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself based on repeated experiences. When the nervous system remains dysregulated for an extended period, the brain adapts by reinforcing the neural circuits related to fear and stress. This is because neurons that fire together wire together, meaning the more frequently a stress response is activated, the stronger and more automatic it becomes. Unprocessed stress responses remain stored in the body and can be easily triggered later in life. This is why certain situations, people, or environments can evoke intense emotional reactions, seemingly unrelated to the present moment. The nervous system is not reacting to the now. It is responding to a past event that remains unresolved. Relationship dynamics often create the biggest triggers. Unconsciously, we seek out relationships that mirror our childhood experiences. If love was inconsistent or conditional in childhood, we may attract partners who reinforce these dynamics. Not because they're good for us, but because they feel familiar. We often expect our partners to reparent us, to provide the love, validation, and safety we lacked. However, when we don't receive the response we desire, it can trigger a stress response. If love feels unavailable, we may fight and become reactive, blame or criticize. Or perhaps you flee and withdraw, shut down or avoid intimacy. Or you freeze and become emotionally numb or dissociate. Recognizing these patterns is crucial. The nervous system seeks to resolve unfinished business from childhood, which is why we continue to attract situations that trigger old wounds. This is not to punish us, but to give us an opportunity to heal. If a person grows up in a chaotic or stressful environment, their nervous system normalizes that state. They may unconsciously recreate drama, conflict, or high-stress situations because relaxation feels foreign, even unsafe. The brain is wired to prioritize survival over everything else. If you frequently experience stress or danger, the brain assumes that these threats are a constant part of the environment. To increase the chances of survival, it strengthens the pathways that help detect and react to threats more quickly. Repeated exposure to stress or trauma conditions the nervous system to expect danger, even in safe environments. This is why people who experience chronic stress or trauma often feel on edge, have difficulty relaxing, or unconsciously seek out chaotic situations, because their nervous system has adapted to operate in a high alert state as the norm. This is why some people struggle with peace. When things are calm, they may feel restless or uneasy. The brain seeks what it knows, and if stress has been the baseline, it will find ways to return to that state. Unprocessed stress also manifests in coping mechanisms: overeating, overworking, substance use, mindless scrolling, or any form of distraction. These behaviors provide temporary relief, but because they don't address the root cause, they reinforce the cycle. The nervous system remembers what brings momentary ease and repeats it, turning it into an automatic reaction whenever discomfort arises. The good news is that neuroplasticity works both ways. By engaging in practices like mindfulness, breathwork, and movement, you can weaken stress-related pathways and strengthen those linked to safety, relaxation, and emotional regulation. The key to breaking free from stress patterns is learning how to process stress through the body rather than the mind. Overthinking, analyzing, or judging yourself only creates more stress. Instead, nervous system regulation techniques help bring the body back to safety. Engage in awareness and acceptance. Notice when a stress response arises. Rather than judging or resisting it, acknowledge it. Recognize that this is a part of you seeking attention, love, and safety. Do body-based practices. Engage in movement such as walking, stretching, dancing. Have a breathwork practice or grounding exercises to dissipate stored stress from the nervous system. Participate in self-soothing and connection. Offer yourself the love and reassurance you may be seeking externally. This could be through self-touch, speaking affirmations, or engaging in comforting activities. Practice gratitude and perspective shift. When triggered, shift focus to gratitude. The brain's lower survival centers dominate during stress, but gratitude activates higher brain functions, reducing cortisol and promoting calm. Try saying, "Thank you for this trigger. It's showing me where I need healing." Make a conscious choice. Just because the pattern is familiar doesn't mean you have to keep repeating it. You can recognize an unhealthy dynamic, express gratitude for what it taught you, and choose a new path. You're not obligated to stay in situations that do not nourish you. In yogic philosophy, moksha is the concept of liberation, freedom from the cycles of suffering. True liberation comes when you are no longer controlled by unconscious patterns. Instead of reacting from old wounds, you respond from a place of awareness, choice, and inner safety. This work is not about erasing stress, but learning how to move through it with presence and self-compassion. Every trigger is an opportunity to heal, every stress response a doorway to greater self-awareness. Remember, your nervous system can be rewired, safety can be restored, and when you cultivate internal safety, the external world begins to reflect that peace back to you.